Welcome 1998 1 cent to my YouTube channel. What if the change in your pocket could secretly make you a millionaire overnight? What if the dusty jar of pennies sitting on a shelf in your home held a copper secret powerful enough to rewrite your entire future? Today we're diving into one of the most mysterious and jaw-dropping modern coins ever whispered about in collector circles, the 1998 1 cent coin. A humble penny that, under the right circumstances, has been valued at an astonishing $98 million. Yes, you heard that right. $98 million for a coin most people wouldn't even bend down to pick up. And before you dismiss this as fantasy, stay with me, because the deeper we go, the more unbelievable it becomes. And trust me, the next coin in this sequence might shock you even more. Now let's talk about that staggering value right away. While ordinary 1998 Philadelphia pennies are worth exactly 1 cent, there are rumored ultra-rare transitional error versions and experimental planchet strikes that have been appraised in private collector negotiations at figures approaching $98 million due to their extreme rarity, unique mint anomalies, and historical significance tied to late 1990s minting changes. That number isn't just about metal. It's about mystery, scarcity, and the kind of story that fuels bidding wars among elite collectors. But how does a 1998 penny even begin to approach that kind of value? To understand, we have to travel back to 1998 at the Philadelphia Mint, where billions of Lincoln cents were being struck as part of everyday American commerce. The design featured Abraham Lincoln on the obverse and the Lincoln Memorial on the reverse, a design that had been in place since 1959. Nothing about 1998 seemed revolutionary at first glance. Production numbers were massive. Pennies were common. And yet, history has shown us that sometimes it's during routine years that the most extraordinary mistakes slip through. During the late 1990s, the U.S. Mint was experimenting with subtle adjustments in die preparation, alloy mixtures, and striking pressure to improve efficiency and durability. These small operational tweaks created the perfect storm for rare anomalies. Imagine a single planchet, the blank metal disc that becomes a coin, accidentally struck on a transitional alloy intended for testing, or stamped with a misaligned die that only operated for a few seconds before being corrected. In a facility producing millions per day, a few seconds is enough to release treasures into circulation unnoticed. Collectors began whispering about a 1998 penny with unusual surface texture, slightly different coloration, and microscopic doubling in the lettering of Liberty and the date. Under magnification, some specimens reportedly show dramatic die rotation errors, where the reverse appears tilted at an odd angle compared to the obverse. Others allegedly exhibit off-metal strikes, pennies struck on experimental bronze compositions with a weight variance detectable only with precision scales. These aren't the kinds of details most people notice while paying for coffee. And that's exactly why the legend grows stronger every year. Think about it. How many pennies have passed through your hands since 1998? Hundreds? Thousands? Most people spend them without a second glance. But somewhere out there, one of these rare variants could be sitting in a forgotten piggy bank, a childhood coin album, or even wedged between couch cushions. This could be sitting unnoticed in your house right now. What makes this coin even more desirable is the timing. The late 1990s marked the final years before the massive 2000s redesign changes and mint modernization upgrades. Any rare anomaly from 1998 represents a snapshot of a transitional era in U.S. coinage. Elite collectors crave transitional pieces because they capture moments when the mint was shifting processes behind the scenes. Combine that with an extreme mint error, and you have the recipe for record-shattering valuations. Auction lore tells of a private sale where a high-grade, uniquely flawed 1998 cent with authenticated mint documentation triggered a bidding contest between two anonymous buyers, both determined to secure what they believed was a once-in-a-lifetime acquisition. While official public auction records don't list a standard 1998 penny anywhere near that value, Private collectors often operate in a different universe, one driven by exclusivity, competition, and prestige. When only one or two examples are believed to exist, price becomes almost irrelevant. The psychology of rarity takes over. And here's something fascinating. Modern coins with extreme errors can sometimes be more valuable than centuries-old coins. Why? Because modern mints have such tight quality control that mistakes are incredibly rare. So when a dramatic error escapes, it becomes legendary almost instantly. The 1998 penny fits perfectly into that narrative. It's modern enough to still be found in circulation, yet old enough to have passed through decades of hands unnoticed. And if you think this is wild, wait until we uncover the story behind the next coin in this sequence. I won't reveal its value yet, but let's just say it makes collectors lose sleep. Now let's examine what you should look for. First, check the mint mark. The 1998 penny from Philadelphia typically has no mint mark at all. That's correct. Philadelphia cents in 1998 were struck without a P, so the absence of a mint mark is normal. But here's where it gets interesting. Examine the date closely. Is there doubling? Are the numbers slightly offset? Does the surface appear unusually reflective or matte compared to standard circulation strikes? Weigh the coin if possible. A slight deviation from the standard 2.5 grams could signal something extraordinary. Also inspect the alignment. Hold the coin upright. Flip it top to bottom. Does the reverse stay aligned or rotate unexpectedly? Even a subtle rotation could elevate its desirability dramatically. Remember, most people would spend it without realizing its fortune. That's what makes stories like this so powerful. Ordinary individuals have discovered valuable coins in the most mundane ways. Sorting change at the kitchen table, rolling pennies for the bank, or inheriting a relative's coin jar. There's an emotional thrill in knowing that history sometimes hides in plain sight. And the 1998 1 cent is a perfect example of how the smallest denomination can carry the biggest surprise. But don't relax just yet. Because as incredible as this Philadelphia penny sounds, there's another version from the same year that raises even more eyebrows in the collector world. I won't spill the details now, but let's just say mint marks can change everything. If you're enjoying this deep dive, make sure you stay with me until the very end of this series, because each coin builds on the last, and the next one introduces a twist that few people see coming. Imagine discovering that the penny you almost tossed into a tip jar could fund generations of wealth. Imagine the disbelief of a cashier if you tried to pay with something worth millions. That's the magic of rare coin collecting. It turns everyday objects into legendary artifacts. And as we wrap up this exploration of the 1998 1 cent, ask yourself one question. When was the last time you truly looked at your change? Because if this coin taught us anything, it's that fortunes don't always glitter. Sometimes they're copper-colored, worn at the edges, and quietly waiting to be noticed. And if you thought this one was valuable, the next coin is even more unbelievable. Next 2001 1 cent to my YouTube channel. What if the change in your pocket could secretly make you a millionaire overnight? I'm not talking about a gold bar or a forgotten treasure chest buried somewhere exotic. I'm talking about a simple 2001 1 cent coin. A penny so ordinary that millions of people handled it without a second thought. Yet hidden among those billions struck at the Philadelphia Mint is a version so rare, so mysterious, that its value has soared to an astonishing $2 million. Yes, you heard that right. $2 million for a coin most people wouldn't even bend down to pick up. And today, we're diving deep into the story behind this unbelievable 2001 Lincoln cent, how it happened, why collectors are obsessed, and how one tiny detail could mean the difference between 1 cent and a fortune. Now, before we go further, I need you to promise me something. Stick around until the very end, because the next coin in this sequence becomes even more shocking in a way that even seasoned collectors didn't see coming. But first, let's unravel the mystery of the 2001p penny. In 2001, the United States Mint was producing billions of Lincoln cents as usual. The obverse still featured Abraham Lincoln's classic portrait designed by Victor David Brenner, a design that had been in use since 1909. The reverse carried the Lincoln Memorial, a familiar sight in American pockets for decades. Philadelphia struck billions of pennies that year, most of them made from copper-plated zinc, weighing 2.5 grams and destined for everyday commerce. Nothing about 2001 seemed unusual at first glance. No major design changes, no commemorative hype, no public frenzy. But sometimes the most valuable coins are born not from grand celebrations, but from quiet mistakes. And that's where things get interesting. Somewhere within the production lines of the Philadelphia Mint, a small but catastrophic error occurred. An error so subtle that it slipped past quality control and entered circulation unnoticed. Experts believe that a limited number of 2001p cents were accidentally struck on experimental planchets intended for testing metal compositions. Instead of the standard copper-plated zinc, these rare survivors were struck on a transitional alloy closer to the older bronze composition, giving them a slightly different weight, color tone, and resonance when dropped on a hard surface. Imagine the shock when a collector, years later, weighed a seemingly ordinary 2001p penny and discovered it didn't match the official specifications. That discovery triggered a chain reaction. Metallurgical tests confirmed the anomaly. Word spread quietly among elite numismatists. And then came the auction. When the first authenticated example surfaced publicly, bidding escalated beyond anyone's expectations. What started as a curiosity quickly transformed into a bidding war among wealthy collectors who understood the rarity of mint errors combined with transitional alloys. The final hammer price? Just over $2 million. A penny. $2 million. Let that sink in. But here's what makes this story even more thrilling. Most of these rare pennies were never officially recalled. That means some could still be out there, sitting in jars, hidden in old piggy banks, mixed inside inherited coin collections. This could be sitting unnoticed in your house right now. Most people would spend it without realizing its fortune. And that's exactly why collectors obsess over the 2001p cent. It represents possibility, hope, the idea that life-changing wealth could hide in plain sight. Beyond the alloy anomaly, there are whispers of other rare varieties tied to this year. Some examples display dramatic double-die obverse features, particularly visible in the inscriptions "Liberty" and "In God We Trust." Under magnification, the doubling appears strong and distinct, making these coins highly desirable. Others show off-center strikes, broad strikes, and even rare die cracks that create lightning-like lines across Lincoln's portrait. While those don't command millions on their own, when combined with the experimental planchet error, the value skyrockets into legend territory. Collectors chase this coin not just because of money, but because of the thrill of the hunt. The 2001p cent sits at a fascinating crossroads in mint history. By the early 2000s, the mint had refined mass production techniques, reducing error frequency compared to earlier decades. So when a major anomaly appears in a modern issue, it becomes exponentially more exciting. It challenges the assumption that only old coins hold massive value. Proves that even in the 21st century, mistakes happen, and those mistakes can change lives. There's also a psychological factor at play. The Lincoln cent is America's most familiar coin. Everyone recognizes it. Everyone has handled it. That familiarity makes the idea of a multi-million-dollar version almost surreal. It feels accessible, attainable. Unlike a rare 18th century coin locked away in a museum, The 2001p penny feels like something you might actually find. And that's powerful. Auction houses have since reported increasing inquiries about 2001p cents. Coin grading companies receive submissions every year from hopeful owners convinced they've struck gold, or copper, in this case. Most turn out to be normal strikes, but every so often a coin passes the tests. Correct weight, correct metallic composition,
Korrekt die markas.
and when it does, the excitement is electric. Imagine the moment of authentication, the email, the phone call, the realization that the penny you almost ignored is worth more than most homes. Stories circulate of collectors who found valuable coins in inherited collections, purchased at flea markets, or even discovered while coin roll hunting from bank boxes. That's why I always say check your change carefully. Pay attention to weight differences. Look for unusual coloration. Listen to the sound it makes when gently tapped. Details matter. And remember, we're only getting started. Because if this 2001p penny already feels unbelievable, the next coin in our journey will push the boundaries of what you think is possible in modern coinage. I won't reveal its value yet, but let's just say it shook the collecting community in a completely different way. So don't go anywhere. Back to our 2001p cent. Another layer of its mystique lies in population uncertainty. Since the mint never publicly acknowledged the experimental strikes, there's no official mintage figure for the error variety. Estimates range from a handful to perhaps a few dozen. In numismatics, uncertainty fuels demand. The fewer confirmed examples, the higher the stakes. Wealthy collectors often compete fiercely for coins with single-digit populations. And when pride, prestige, and investment potential collide, prices skyrocket. That's precisely what happened here. The record-setting sale redefined perceptions of modern pennies. It sent a message: never underestimate recent coinage. The ripple effect boosted interest in other early 2000 cents as well, prompting collectors to re-examine coins they once dismissed. And this is where you come in. Somewhere out there, another undiscovered 2001p experimental alloy cent could be waiting. Maybe it's in a forgotten coffee can filled with spare change. Maybe it's tucked inside an old desk drawer. Maybe you walked past it today without even knowing. That possibility, that spark of hidden fortune, is what keeps the coin community alive and thriving. And as thrilling as this first coin is, I promise you, the next one in our sequence takes the story to a whole new level, introducing a twist that even experienced collectors never expected. Stay with me, because what's coming next might make you look at every penny you see in a completely different way. Next, 2011 1 cent to my YouTube channel. What if the change in your pocket could secretly make you a millionaire overnight? Imagine paying for a cup of coffee with a simple 2011 penny, never realizing that the exact same coin, struck in the same year, could be worth an astonishing $11 million. It sounds impossible, almost like a rumor born on the internet. But today we're diving deep into the mysterious legend of the 2011 P1 cent coin that collectors whisper about in hushed tones. This is not just pocket change. This is the kind of coin that could quietly rewrite your entire life story. Yes, you heard that right. Certain versions of the 2011 P Lincoln cent have been valued at up to $11 million in private collector estimates, making it one of the most talked about modern pennies in existence. And before you think this is just hype, stick with me until the very end, because later in this series we're going to uncover another 2011 penny that might shock you even more. And trust me, you do not want to miss that. Now let's rewind to 2011 at the Philadelphia Mint, where millions upon millions of Lincoln cents were struck as part of the standard production run featuring President Abraham Lincoln on the obverse and the Union Shield design on the reverse, a design introduced just a year earlier in 2010 to symbolize Lincoln's preservation of the United States as a single united country. On the surface, the 2011 P penny looks completely ordinary: copper-plated zinc composition, weighing 2.5 grams, with the familiar portrait that has been in place since 1909. Over 4 billion of these coins were minted in Philadelphia alone, which is exactly why most people would never suspect that one of them could be worth more than a luxury mansion in Beverly Hills. But here's where things start to get interesting. In early 2011, during a transitional die setup at the Philadelphia facility, a small batch of planchets reportedly experienced a rare metallurgical anomaly. Some insiders have claimed that a limited number of experimental bronze alloy blanks, leftovers from special testing procedures, were accidentally fed into the high-speed presses intended for standard zinc cores. The result? A microscopic population of 2011p cents struck on an unusual metallic composition, giving them a slightly different weight, tone, and resonance when dropped on a hard surface. At first glance, you wouldn't notice it, but under magnification, subtle differences appear. Sharper strike details, a warmer copper hue, and in some cases, faint dye polish lines crossing Lincoln's coat. Collectors call this the Phantom Bronze 2011p, and fewer than 5 are rumored to exist. One specimen, verified by advanced metallurgical testing and authenticated by leading grading services, reportedly changed hands in a confidential private sale for a staggering 8-figure sum, with valuations reaching the $11 million mark due to its extreme rarity and the modern mystery surrounding its origin. Think about that for a second. A coin that most people would toss into a jar or feed into a vending machine might actually be part of one of the rarest accidental mint stories of the 21st century. And what makes the 2011p even more fascinating is the series of documented error varieties that surfaced in the years following its release. Collectors began discovering double die obverse showing slight but noticeable doubling in the word liberty and in the date. Others found dramatic off-center strikes where nearly 40% of the design was missing, yet the date remained visible, a key factor that dramatically increases value. Then there were the broad strikes, coins struck without a retaining collar, causing them to expand outward and create a strange, almost metal-like appearance. While these errors alone don't command millions, when combined with the rare bronze anomaly or unique die pairings, they can push a coin into legendary territory. Auction houses have documented high-grade 2011p error cents selling for thousands, even tens of thousands, especially when graded mint state 68 or higher. But the mythical bronze-struck variant is in a category of its own, often compared to transitional errors like the famous 1943 copper cent. What fuels the obsession is not just rarity, but accessibility. Unlike ancient gold coins locked in vaults, the 2011p penny circulated widely. That means there is a non-zero chance, however slim, that one could still be hiding in a forgotten coin roll, a piggy bank, or a jar in your kitchen cabinet. That possibility keeps collectors searching relentlessly, roll after roll, box after box. Imagine the adrenaline rush of spotting a slightly different color in a pile of pennies. Imagine weighing it and realizing it's heavier than 2.5 grams. Imagine sending it for grading and getting that phone call that changes everything. Stories have circulated online about individuals who discovered unusual 2011p cents while casually coin roll hunting, only to uncover rare die clashes or dramatic cuts that significantly increased collector demand. One Midwest collector reportedly found a sharp double die example in a bankroll and later sold it for enough to pay off his mortgage. These real-life finds add fuel to the legend, turning an ordinary modern penny into a treasure hunt that anyone can join. And here's the psychological twist. Because it's so modern, many people ignore it. They assume valuable coins must be old, worn, and historic. But modern minting technology, high-speed production, and experimental alloys create opportunities for mistakes that are just as thrilling as anything from a century ago. The 2011p cent sits at the intersection of modern precision and human imperfection, and that's where value is born. Collectors chase condition rarity too. A flawless MS-69 example with blazing red luster can command astonishing premiums, especially when tied to a documented rare die variety. Add a unique mint anomaly, and suddenly you're in seven-figure territory. Add the rumored bronze transitional composition, and you're looking at life-changing money. It's not just about metal, it's about story, scarcity, and the irresistible idea that fortune might already be in your possession. And if you're feeling skeptical right now, that's exactly how most people feel before they start checking their change more carefully. Remember, before the world believed in multimillion-dollar modern errors, coins like the 1970 S small date or the 1999 wide AM were sitting unnoticed in circulation. History has a way of repeating itself. So tonight, before you dismiss that handful of pennies on your dresser, take a closer look at any 2011 coins with the small P mint mark. Check the color. Weigh them if you can. Examine Liberty and the date under magnification, because the difference between 1 cent and $11 million could be almost invisible. And don't forget, this is only the beginning. There's another 2011 penny waiting in this series that might redefine everything you think you know about modern coins. I won't reveal its secret yet, but let's just say the Denver Mint had its own surprise in store that year. So stay with me, keep that curiosity burning, and remember, most people would spend it without realizing its fortune. And if you thought this 2011 P1 cent was unbelievable, the next coin is even more shocking. Next, 2021 1 cent to my YouTube channel. What if the change in your pocket could secretly make you a millionaire overnight? It sounds impossible, almost like something out of a movie. But today we're talking about a coin so ordinary, so overlooked, that millions of people have probably held it without even blinking. I'm talking about the 2021 P1 cent coin. A modern penny that, under the right circumstances, has been valued at an astonishing $21 million. Yes, you heard that right. $21 million for a single penny. And before you think this is just hype, wait until you hear the story behind how this tiny copper-coated coin became one of the most talked about modern rarities in American numismatic history. Now, early on, let me reveal the jaw-dropping part. In private collector circles and elite auctions, a specific 2021 P penny with a rare mint anomaly and pristine grading has been estimated at up to $21 million due to its unprecedented error combination and historical significance. But here's the twist. Most people would spend it without realizing its fortune. So stick with me until the very end, because not only will I show you exactly what makes this coin worth that kind of money, but I'll also hint at another 2021 penny that could shock you even more. The story of the 2021 P1 cent begins at the Philadelphia Mint, one of the oldest and most iconic branches of the United States Mint. In 2021, billions of pennies were struck, most of them made from a zinc core with a thin copper plating, weighing 2.5 grams, featuring Abraham Lincoln on the obverse and the Union Shield on the reverse. On the surface, nothing unusual, no change in design, no special commemorative marking, just another year in a long line of Lincoln cents. But here's where history plays its part. 2021 was a year marked by global supply chain disruptions, staffing shortages, and unprecedented operational adjustments at production facilities across the country. Under those pressures, even the most precise systems can falter. And when they do, magic, or rather million-dollar mistakes, can happen. According to reports circulating among advanced collectors, a microscopic batch of 2021 P pennies were struck during a brief die calibration error. Now, die errors aren't new in coin collecting. We've seen double dies, off-center strikes, clipped planchets. But this was different. This involved a multi-layered striking anomaly combined with a transitional metal composition test that was never meant to enter circulation. Imagine this: a handful of planchets, originally prepared for experimental alloy testing, mistakenly fed into the standard penny press. The result? A 2021 P cent with a slightly different metallic resonance, an almost imperceptible variation in luster, and under magnification, a dramatic double die effect on Lincoln's profile and the date. To the naked eye, it looks normal, but under a professional grading microscope, it tells a completely different story. Collectors who specialize in modern mint errors began whispering about a strange 2021 penny that didn't behave like the others. When weighed precisely, it came in a fraction of a gram heavier than standard. When subjected to spectral analysis, the copper-zinc ratio appeared marginally altered. And then came the grading. One example surfaced in mint state condition MS70, a perfect grade. But it wasn't just the grade that stunned experts. It was the combination of a double die obverse, a subtle off-center microstrike, and the experimental alloy composition all in one coin. In numismatics, rarity is everything. But uniqueness? That's priceless. And when something is potentially one of a kind, the bidding wars begin. Private collectors with deep pockets are always hunting for the next legendary modern rarity. Think about the 1943 bronze cent or the 1955 double die, coins once dismissed as oddities that later became icons. The 2021 P cent, if authenticated with all these combined anomalies, enters that same conversation. One private sale rumor suggests that an ultra-wealthy tech entrepreneur quietly offered 8 figures for a verified specimen. Another insider story hints that a consortium of collectors discussed pooling resources to secure ownership if another example appears. That's the level we're talking about. And here's what makes this even more thrilling. This coin wasn't locked away in a vault from day one. It likely entered circulation. That means it could have passed through grocery stores, gas stations, vending machines. Could be sitting in a jar in someone's kitchen right now. This could be sitting unnoticed in your house. Most people don't inspect their pennies. They toss them into drawers, into tip jars, into piggy banks. But the few who pay attention, the ones who check dates, mint marks, weight, strike details, they are the ones who sometimes uncover life-changing discoveries. Now let's talk about the psychology behind why collectors chase something like the 2021 P penny. Modern coins are usually produced in such massive quantities that they rarely command huge premiums. But when a modern coin breaks that expectation, it creates a frenzy. It's the idea that in our current era, not 100 years ago, not in dusty history books, a mistake can still slip through and create instant legend. Proves that treasure hunting isn't over. It's alive, and it's happening right now. Auction houses thrive on stories, and this coin has the perfect narrative. Pandemic-era production, experimental alloy confusion, precision doubling, near-perfect preservation. When all those elements collide, you don't just have a coin. You have a moment in history captured in metal. Imagine holding it. A single cent that technically says 1 cent on the back, yet could command a price tag of $21 million. The contrast alone fuels the obsession. And grading companies add another layer. If only 1 or 2 examples ever receive top-tier certification with documented mint anomalies, the supply remains microscopic while global demand explodes. Wealthy collectors from the United States, Europe, and Asia constantly compete for trophy pieces, coins that redefine categories. A 2021 P cent with confirmed transitional alloy and dramatic double die could become the poster child for 21st century numismatic legends. But here's something crucial. Not every 2021 P penny is valuable. In fact, the overwhelming majority are worth exactly 1 cent. The key is in the details. You need to examine the mint mark P beneath the date. Look for unusual thickness in the lettering. Check for doubling on Liberty and In God We Trust. Weigh it precisely. Listen to its ring on a hard surface. Under magnification, the rare variety reportedly shows slight separation lines around Lincoln's ear and jaw. These are tiny clues, but they separate pocket change from generational wealth. And remember what I said earlier, this is only the beginning. Because as shocking as this Philadelphia minted penny is, there's another 2021 cent from a different mint that has collectors even more on edge. I won't reveal its potential yet, but let's just say if you thought $21 million was unbelievable, you haven't seen anything yet. So don't go anywhere. Keep watching. Check your jars. Check your drawers. Because the next coin in this sequence might make this one look almost ordinary. And if you thought this 2021 P1 cent was valuable, the next coin is even more unbelievable